Yep, we're good. Okay. All right, I'm going to call the Weathersfield School Board meeting for August 13th, 2024 to order at 7:03 p.m. Let's ask for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Do we have any changes or additions to the agenda? Okay, we're good. We have the approval of the minutes. First, we have the May 14th minutes. I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Vincent made the motion. Any further discussion? Anybody see any mistakes or anything? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes for, what was it? I just lost the date. May 14th, 2024. Say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Then we have the minutes from our board retreat, June 18th, 2024.
So moved.
Okay, Mark made the motion to approve the minutes. Any discussion or changes?
Christine's name is missing an O.
Okay, so up in the
in the
top
last
line,
name.
the last name should be born with an O before the U. Otherwise, all those numbers look good, Christine? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. All in favor of approving the minutes from June 18th with that one change, say aye.
Aye.
With the approval, that's great. Up next, we have opportunity for public participation. Does anyone, do we have any, BJ? No? Okay. I guess we're on to the administrative report.
Thank you.
Share this.
So as Christine's putting that up, first reach out to and thank our incredible custodial staff, Brian, Kelly, Kathy, and then Heather. They've done a great job this summer, making sure that our school is in top-notch shape for our students to return on the 28th. So they've been doing a great job. They're finishing up a few last-minute things so that they can be ready for have teachers come in and get set up. But they've just done really a great job. And next week they'll be finishing up on the outside of the school, making the grounds look as beautiful as the inside is. So we just really appreciate their hard work. And speaking of the outside of the school, this is something that I've wanted since the day I got here. We and I talked to Carrie, our athletic director, about it. And so we finally got the opportunity. We have some wonderful community members that were able to move our athletic shed. It was sort of a supervisory block for where it was located at. And so they were able to move it on Sunday. I was in California still, and so I got up to the minute photos from Carrie saying how they were moving it. So I just wanted to reach out to John Richardson, Jamie Richardson, Casey Dillingham, Vince was here, Bill Goki Sr., Heather Goki, Brad Barrio, Landon Barrio, and of course Gary Jewell to make our shed move. So it is now tucked into the woods. So it's not a supervisory nightmare anymore. It is back there, and it's right by the woods where the kids know it's like the no zone during recess. So we shouldn't have kids missing, or not missing, but being lost behind the shed. And then our next goal, which Carrie doesn't know yet, is to get it painted. We'll talk about that. I don't want to have anything on there right now. We want to get it painted so it looks it looks fresh. Because the shed, we weren't sure if it was going to stay together.
Yeah.
It's actually in excellent shape.
And then I already talked to Heather today about doing a 90-degree turn on one of our other sheds that's out there. So she's so we'll we'll see.
He doesn't
See
want
that
matcha.
You give a principal a piece of a, moving a shed and they want more. All right, Jamie, PTO, you're up?
Hey, we're back.
Yeah?
Hello, everybody. Well, we're back. This is very exciting. So we didn't take the summer off as a PTO. The text message chains and the emails are, just as long, if not longer than they were, the year prior. So I just want to thank our incredible PTO and the volunteers and the friends, family, community, staff, everyone who always gives so much throughout the entire year. We would not be successful in anything that we do without the support of Weathersfield and beyond. And so with all of that, we've set the bar nice and high, and we've got to continue doing some of the incredible things that we have kind of promised over the course of time, like our paw drop, which is getting ready to happen here in September. But we've had a lot of success over the last year. We've learned a lot of things. So we're working smarter and harder, I think, at the same time. So what I like to do every August or September is come to you all and talk to you about what our big plans are for the year, so that you have a chance to ask any questions or give us some feedback on what your thoughts were from last year. And then let you know of anything that's new that's coming up. And hopefully we have your endorsement to be able to move forward with all the things that we have planned. So just a couple of things. I'm going to run down my list, and then I'll try and go slow if we need to, but also at the end, if you have any questions about anything that feels different or whatever, just let me know. Obviously, we have our monthly meetings where we are, coming here and we're strategizing. So those are, every month, those are on our calendars. But starting here in August, we have ordered, and we've already done this, so hopefully this is okay. We do it every year. We order custom T-shirts for our incoming Panther Cubs, our kindergartners. So they're getting a little welcome T-shirt from us. We put it on their chair for when they first arrive at school. So on their first day, little kindergartners will be all swagged out with a T-shirt. So those have been ordered and we're set to arrive. So, but we'll also be here for our open house, the barbecue, the community dinner on the 26th. We will be selling our paws for paw drop, of course. We're also going to give away popsicles because every year it's 105 degrees at Event. And we need the popsicles to stay in. I can laugh. I'm always sweating. That's when I go to Georgia's teacher, meet the new teacher, typical Jamie Richardson style. But also we've really collected a great little bulk pile of some swag and some merch, some shirts and things. So we've been trying to sell those at our concessions for the spring, but we've now ordered some extra sizes and things. So people who maybe missed the apparel sale or want to start the year off will have that available. But we'll be really talking about paw drop at that table. We'll be handing out some order forms for our apparel sale, which I'll get to in a second because it's happening earlier this year. So usually we do our apparel sale for the holiday season, but boy, does that add extra stress to all of us. And we want to make sure we get things in time. And for people who are excited about getting swag. So we'll be here at the open house, giving away some popsicles, selling some paws, talking up that event, selling some merch, and handing out some apparel flyers. One of the commitments that we made last year, which was slightly informal, but we really committed to it, and they were monthly touch points for both the staff and the students. So some months are very easy. You have a dance, you have the paw drop, but some months you need a little bit of extra brain power to think of something to do as a give back. And so this year when we did our strategic planning in June, and over the summer, we wanted to make sure we put some thoughts into each month so we had some lead up time because some of us come in hot and that feels stressful. So every single month, there will be some sort of a touch point for staff and for students. Some will be bigger than others. So, in May, we'll do our staff appreciation week long celebration. And other months, it might just be cider and donuts, which I think is kind of a big deal. Everybody loves cider and donuts, right? So every month, we like your support in doing a touch point for staff and for students. So I'll go over a couple of those ideas in a moment. Also in September, if we move on to the year, this will be when we'll do our apparel sale. So September instead of October, November, gives us some time to breathe. We will be using Judy Jarvis here in town, a local person who's been very, very good to us We've used a lot of different companies and she's been, the most consistent and she's right here and she's just really good to us. So more information about that will be coming. And then of course, as I said before, our pod drop. So please save the date for everybody online, save the date for September 20th. It's a Friday. And that event is from 5 to 8. And you all graciously gave us already your endorsement and permission to do that last year because we've been planning this for a year in advance. We just got off a 2-hour pod drop meeting right before we're here tonight. So I think it will be a really fantastic event. And more to come for information as it gets closer. So I look at Meredith is our chair of many of our events in pod drop and comedy. So
I like this one.
she does, she keeps us in line. So the PTO has gone a little back and forth on if we are in the dance business or if we're not in the dance business. We love our students to have the opportunity to have some school dances, but we also, there's something that the school may want to take on or the leadership kids or, whatever. So we're leaning a little into school dance, but we're also very willing to give it up if there's another internal organization that wants to handle it. We're happy to be volunteers, but we have done in the past a harvest dance in October, a snowball dance in January, which is like a little semi-formal. And then the one we don't want to give up, so hopefully no one wants that, is we're not giving it up. So my friends are telling me, you're not giving it up. We're not giving this up. Is our family dance in the springtime. So I'll go over that in a second. But this is just, if anybody wants to take over the dance business, we're happy to support, but we think that's one that we could probably hand off. Yes, Brad.
So if someone else takes over the dances, do we still have DJ CJ there to run? That might be an easier thing.
Oh, Mary Jewel said it.
Swag for that.
She gave you the nod. Hey, we set the bar high, Carrie. So anyways, also what we're thinking, so one of the things that's important for you all to know is that we tested out a couple of fundraisers last year. One of them was our March Madness calendar. That wasn't a test. We had done that the last couple of years. It's a calendar raffle. Everyone else is doing a calendar raffle and they are very successful and they're getting a lot of big prizes and it's just the same, they're all doing during like March Madness or at the same time. So we felt like it was highly competitive to have that and we said we could probably do something different. And, but it was a pretty significant moneymaker for us. So there's a couple of opportunities that we'd like to do a bingo night. So some of us went to a bingo fundraiser for the Edgar May swim team. It was phenomenal and they made a pretty fair amount of money, almost twice as much as what we would make on March Madness. And it was one evening and it's a relatively well-oiled machine. We have some folks in our midst that are seasoned at doing bingo fundraisers. Is that fair to say? So we've got locations, we have equipment, we just need to, put all the logistics together, my party planners. So we feel like a one-night event using a local bingo facility could really net us twice as much as a March Madness calendar. So we'd like to add bingo in either in the fall or in the spring. And we will remove the March Madness calendar, which solicits a lot of community members that we also solicit during pod drop. And it just hits the same people over and over again. So we're really trying to be mindful of not hitting all of our very generous donors too many times. So that's a new thought for us, is a bingo night. And then we're moving into the winter months and we are doing Make It and Take It. So we already have a date for that. And it's because Thanksgiving is a little later this year, Make It and Take It, we'd like to also we do a craft and vendor fair at the same time. We want to be one of the first that people attend. We want to get people here. We don't want to be in the middle of competing with other vendor fairs during the holidays. So we have November 24th as our date for Make It and Take It. That would be the craft fair. And then we also have a holiday shop, which is, we did it last year. It's like little tchotchkes that kids could buy for their families. And that would run actually a week long in December. That would be the kickoff to it. But Make It and Take It is a staple from the PTO. We took a couple years off for COVID and now it's ready to run. Coming up with new creative Make It's and Take It's is pretty fun for us. We get a little crafty. So as we move into December, that would be when the holiday shop, but we want to take December to just take a holiday breath, as we all deserve. So we would have a week in December, the 2nd through the 6th for that holiday shop. Last year we did it during lunchtime here. We set it up on the stage. So we would look for a location that we could borrow a spot to have we volunteer come in and sell all the gifts that you receive for your kiddos during the holiday season. Then moving into the new year, we also, so while we're getting rid of the March Madness calendar and bringing in bingo, we just can't stop thinking of ways for the fun and fundraising to happen in the school. So we were inspired by penny wars. Not sure if anybody is familiar with how penny wars have worked. It brings the students and the families into it, and classes can compete by bringing in their change and putting it into buckets. And you can make some money and then you can sabotage another class, but there's some logistics to it, but it's a winning classroom for fundraising. It's something from the pizza party, or, extra mini grant or something for the teacher, or something that the kids will get really excited about. But also rather successful in the PTO fundraising world. So not really sure. We're pretty excited about how that could work. And kids like to be competitive. So, bring your change in, and so we're gonna need to come to the bank, drop some change on it. Also in January, when we come back from the holiday break, we usually do something as a monthly touch point for our staff. Last year we did something called ELPed. So they wrote a little list of what their needs were for, halfway through the year. What do you think you need? Do you need more Clorox wipes, markers, whatever? And so that's what we did there. So we like to always try and supplement what the teachers are looking for. So maybe that will be the case. Maybe it'll be a little something different, but it's nice to just give back to those teachers over the break and surprise them when they come back on that first day. So moving into February, that family dance, it would be February 8th, and it would be in the afternoon. It's just a couple hours from 3 to 5. And this is the K through 5. So they don't usually get a dance. Middle school gets those dances. So this is, if you remember from years past, we fill the gym with kiddos and popcorn and let them rip. And CJ's there, and it's a lot of fun. And families come, and it's a short but fast and furious little event with the Timies having a nice time with their families. So moving into March, we would do another spring apparel sale, because everybody's getting ready for the spring sports seasons, and they got all their hoodies, and now they need t-shirts and tank tops and all of that. So we'll do an apparel sale again in March. And that is also the Read Across America day. Is it a week here, Read Across America?
It's a month, and then they have like a week, and then it's really a day.
Okay. Little celebrity, that was the day. So we have given a book to every student during either that month, that week, or that day, whatever that works out. And we will do the same thing again. So we have a stockpile of books, and we'll buy some books, and every student gets to pick at least one book. And then if we have extra, we set them back out again, and we give them again. And
We've talked about doing a family literacy event. So we're not sure if it'll be a book
Day.
or bringing in an author or whatever. Yes, Brian and I talked briefly about that.
Nice.
And then last year we were able to get some of the books to one of our other schools, which was
Yeah,
really
yeah.
nice to share it well. So that was wonderful.
So that'll be our month of celebrating literacy of some kind. March is also our adult comedy night fundraiser. So this will be the 3rd year that we would be able to offer this. Last year we had it at the Common Man. It was excellent.
It's a common, yeah.
Common Man, and we felt boy, did it take the logistics out of that event for us. It was very, very nice, and we learned a lot of things that we could do differently there too. And we are excited to be able to offer that as well. So moving into April, we do our testing kits, and we did that a little differently. In years past, we've offered a lot of, or every classroom, a prepared testing kit. Well, not every classroom is the same. So we did kind of a buffet style where a teacher could come in and pick and choose the kind of things that they wanted for their classroom, because a lot of things would go to waste if it wasn't what they and their students wanted. So a grab and go style, if you will. Going into May is Staff Appreciation Week, and that is the week of the 5th. No spoilers will be shared in this room, not that we have any to share today, but that is one of our most exciting weeks. We really go all out for that. It's one of the ones that we do the most fundraising for, right? And then, can you believe it, we're already in June, and we participate in Field Day, where we do the Kona ice truck. So that's been a success the last few years, even beat the raindrops last year, maybe, or this last year. They don't care. Kona in the rain, no one cares. So rain or shine, we'd love to have a Kona ice truck back. So those are the hot ticket, those are the big fundraisers for the year. A lot of things you've already known and participated about. We did a brew fest last year, which you are all really willing to let us experiment with. They went and it was a lovely day, but it really didn't do much for us. And so we won't participate in that kind of thing yet. So thank you for letting us give that a go and, learn something new and moving on. So we'll do mini grants again this year. We're gonna do all those monthly touch points. We're gonna do those fundraisers. And there are things, I don't know if any of you, Christine, I'm sure you know about this. It's like a restaurant night. I know Cornish School did with the Common Man or Ramontos. They have a special night that's dedicated to a nonprofit, and a part of their profits that evening go towards something. And there's the Ramontos and the Common Man have been very generous in offering that to local schools, and we have a connection with the Common Man, so we might like to try and see if they'll let us have a night, and then we'd have to grow out that a little bit. So things like that might pop in here and there. That's like no work but advertising. So, but you never know when those will pop in.
We did those 5 days ago.
You did those in California?
We did one once a month.
Oh,
We had more.
Common Man and Ramontos, right?
We should check in with, once Chipotle comes in the clinic.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the places that we use in
Okay.
I
California.
know the Weathersfield.
McDonald's even does it too. Yeah, and McDonald's they used to let us be in the drive-thru. I don't know if that happens anymore. Because one time I was running the drive-thru and handing people food. It was great. So you might want to check, because you have a way of working things.
Well, and I think we could hire Brian Martez to maybe help us.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, that was one of my summer projects, but I was just listening, so yes.
Oh, I just.
No, go ahead, that's important. Please.
I don't know why we were just, okay, so that's our calendar, but I'm so excited. The sign that we have out front, if you all haven't seen it, the flashing, beautiful message. We're so excited and thankful for the support that we've been given. That was a major project for us that right from the, 4 years ago when some of us joined the PTO, we're trying to think of a way to give back, and communication is always the biggest challenge. How do you get messages out to your community and your school? And it just made so much sense for us to try and research and vet a sign project. And Windsor was our inspiration for a sign. They have one right at the top of the hill at the high school, and we know how precious real estate that is for information for their community. So we tried to get it on the roadside, but we didn't really go that far. But having it here on the school, on the side of the building, it is rocking and rolling. So we're gonna turn it over to the school to do some messaging, and BJ and Brian it's very, very easy to use. They have some templates in there of some messages that already make sense, like if you're closed for a holiday, or you can put the time and the weather on there, or the pod drop is currently promoted. So the sky's the limit on there, I think. We're so excited to participate in it and make sure that our community gets some important messages, that none of us forget picture day at the edge of the glass, because it's all been there. Thank God for the makeup picture day. But thank you so much for the support, and it's going. We've sort of been testing it this summer, so please make sure you see it, and hopefully if you ever see it glitching out, you'll let us know so we can make sure it's happy and healthy. So kudos to the PTO too for all the work they did to get that going. Any questions about any of the calendar stuff? Anything on there that seemed curious or different or wonky this year?
I just was gonna ask about the bingo. Where would that take place? Is that like at a local restaurant, like at the,
So we would probably use, there's a couple of different opportunities. One is in Springfield and the other is in Windsor. So I can't remember what the Windsor one is, the Elks or the Legion?
Legion.
One's a VFW and one's a Legion, and they're all set up for bingo already, so we don't have to reinvent or borrow or rent anything.
Yeah.
So we would use one of our local community partners. We don't have anything here in Weathersfield to do that, and so instead of keeping it closed, we have to rent out a space like that. Both, I think, have been generous in allowing us to do that. I think.
Well, it's more than the
Windsor-
hall, it's the bingo board.
The board.
That lights up, so it's more than just a space.
But space is good too. Good question. Awesome. Thank you for your support
Thank you.
last year.
Thank you.
And thank you for your presumed, support,
Yep.
hopefully, at the end of this meeting.
Thank you, you can breathe now, too. James.
Yeah.
Oh, Gary.
Okay. So, yes, as Brian said, we moved the shed on Sunday. That also got cleaned out, hoed out, swapped out, so we're ready for soccer downstairs and all the spring sports stuff is upstairs. I spent, quite a bit of time in the gym closet where we have our basketball storage and uniform storage. Got all that cleaned and organized. We are in very good shape for the fall season. Best year so far. We also will likely have a table at open house. I am hoping to catch anyone who may have missed any of the registration information, anyone who has questions, certainly new families that have moved in. So we'll have a little table alongside PTO for athletics. And then we also have opened up and started rostering for the fall sports, which is looking really good. So we have 108 athletes signed up right now. So we will see the majority of the signups happen the day before school starts or the day after. So I know that is just an early number. We are able to fully field all of the teams. Cross-country numbers are a little low right now, but we graduated basically the whole cross-country team. So that will be in a little bit of a rebuilding year. But we have, the coaches are all set. We have 80% of our games are all scheduled. They're all staffed with officials. So we are in very good shape. Practices will be starting the week that school starts. There has been an informal pickup style summer session happening over at Poisonton Field on Monday nights where some of the older girls have been gathering and just kicking the ball around. And I think that's about it. I think we're just in really, really good shape. It feels like a relief. I know it's gonna get busier as school gets underway, but it's nice to feel prepared and ready. So we've already placed our order with State Line Sports for any of the supplemental things that we need, but we inflated all the balls. We ditched 2 trash bags of balls deflated, so it was a lot of balls. And then we gave the ones that were salvageable but not sport quality are in a bin that we also donated for the recess. So they'll have a large supply of soccer balls and basketballs and another storage bin that we allow during recess. So sharing the love there. And we threw one out that had been missing some wheels and the cover didn't shut right. And so I loved it. I throw a lot of things out. A lot of things. Does anyone have questions about athletics?
Thank you for doing all that. It looks great out there. I love it with the shed where it's at. So appreciative of it. Nice to get those things done, so we wanted done. So. All right, student perspective, we're looking for our next student school board member. So we'll put applications out that first week that school gets back, and hopefully we'll get the right person to fill the shoes of Ben.
Or try to.
All right, so STEAM camp. So we did STEAM camp. It's really amazing to have, to see the kids and what they're doing. We were able to use this room plus the art room and a little bit of the AP room as well. These 2 rooms come in handy because they do have air conditioning and it happens to be a little warm. I remember that first year that we did STEAM camp and they're standing behind fans in the AP room because it was so hot. And so to be able to have AC makes a big difference. And it's so nice because Leanna Robinson and Tara Smith do such, and with Crystal Sorrell's help as well, do such a fantastic job. It's really hands-off for us. They've taken the reins and they just run with it. And this year we did 2 sessions. So we did a morning session and an afternoon session. So parents had the option to sign up for one or the other or both. And so we had a total of 33 students that were signed up. And we had about 25 students on average because some people picked and they got to pick the week. We did do a small fee this year because we felt that that was important for them to be able to give back a little bit. And families did take it really seriously then. Because as soon as you add a little dollar figure to it, people take it a little bit more seriously into it. But all the kids, when I was in there and popping in to see them, they were having a fantastic time. We even had some flowers on BJ's desk that they made out of Legos. So it was a pretty amazing event, some money well spent, and the kids had fun, which is ultimately what we want them to do. So. Leader in me, as always, we have our 7 habits and focusing on those. Go ahead and next slide. We did a Lighthouse team meeting on August 6th to review our school-wide WIGs. I haven't gotten the report on that because I was in California. I was in California last year when they did it too. Coincidence? No, it isn't. This year I didn't have to go to California, but I had the opportunity to go to California because my grandfather turned 100. So we got to celebrate his birthday last Thursday, and I was there, just got back Monday night. I should have put a picture up here of my grandfather, but I didn't, because he does not act like a typical 100-year-old guy. He started to shuffle.
The typical 100-year-old.
Dead. Yeah, somebody
A little
asked me-
dark.
Sorry. Somebody asked me, like, what was the secret? And he said, to tell himself every morning, you're not gonna die today. And tomatoes. Those are his 2 secrets. You're not gonna die today. And tomatoes, he has tomatoes every day, and that seems to have worked for him. But yeah, so he made it to 100, so pretty fantastic to do that. Safety drills is, we have our fire drills and our options-based drills that we'll be doing. We'll notify families as well when we're gonna be doing those or the time frame for those, that students will be participating in safety drills. Enrollment so far for FY25, this is as of today, 236, but we got a call today about somebody that needed to register for another grade level, and so we get those calls all the time, plus we get some students that are adding and dropping, so that number is pretty fluid up until probably the second week of school, and then it settles down quite a bit. So this is Waddington, so this is something that I got to do. I got the opportunity to go to practice my leadership skills. So this is our cohort 15. And so these are all leaders from across the state. And it's a grant that was given by Dr. Barton Waddington. And so she left Vermont Schools a really amazing gift. And one that she wanted to transform leadership in Vermont. So we went to the Center for Leadership in Greensboro, North Carolina, and they pay for almost everything. You have to pay for your transportation, but everything else is paid for. And you get 3 days of intensive leadership training, and then we have 2 follow-up sessions. So we have one in October, and then the second one is in March. Christina's gone. Most of our administrative staff is gone. I sort of held off. I wanted to make sure, but it's amazing. It was a beautiful campus, great opportunities to meet people. And then the following week I went to our VPA conference as well, but that's our group in there. That's a little bit,
Sorry.
that's okay. That's a little bit about that's okay. A little bit about that, but she was a neurologist in Rutland, and she left all of her money to be able to, and her library, like literally she's got a library of materials and books and beautiful artwork. She left all that for the Center for Leadership in Greensboro, and that's where it's located. They have one in San Diego as well, and then they have some across, I think they have one in Colorado, and then a couple, like one in Singapore. But it was pretty amazing for them, and it was a great opportunity, and the cost was next to nothing, just transportation to get there. So, and we had a good flight there. A lot of people got lost because it was the same weekend as all Microsoft didn't have it. So planes were canceled and everything else. So we were lucky. Early flights. We booked early flights. All right. Hiring update. So we are all technically fully staffed. This is a new position that was just added because of Title I funding. So we just put in this a week ago. It went out to staff, and then today it was opened up to the public as well for a K-8 academic interventionist and literature coach. So we have that position posted. So hopefully we've gotten a few applications already. We'll take a look at those and plan on doing interviews for that position. But other than that, we are fully staffed. And I know that you guys all know that our 2 paras did get rehired back into our school, so they will be starting here back in August.
Is school next week?
Yes.
So everything is good to go. All right, building community. So I got to go to the Proctor Library Summer Evening Fundraiser, which is always a great evening event. It's their big fundraiser for the Proctor Library. And they had.
It's not the Proctor Library, it's the Weathersfield Proctor Library. Proctor, because Proctor has Proctorville.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't. So it's the Weathersfield Proctor Library. That's okay. Thank you, Deb, for correcting me on that. It is important, so sorry. And it was a great event, and they always raise money and have fun while doing it. So it was nice to be part of that and represent our school there. And then meeting with our town manager, Brian, on a regular basis to go over things, talk to him again today, just about things that are happening within our community and how we can both support each other in our roles here to support Weathersfield. Upcoming events, whole bunch of them going on there. So even though school is going to start August 19th and 20th, new teacher orientation. 21st to 22nd, all staff development day, and that's SPY. 23rd is our building based day. 26th is a teacher work day here. Also our back to school welcome back barbecue from 4:30 to 6 with the teacher visits in the classrooms. Teacher work day on the 27th. First day of school on the 28th. 28th through 30th of this month is early release days for all kindergartners, and we decided that last year and did it as a whole SU. Is 5-year-olds, it's tough for them to go to school for a full day, especially since they haven't gone ever, a lot of them. And so we sort of do a slow rollout for them. We give them 3 partial days, then we give them 4 full days, then we hit them with 5 full days. So it's not that slow of a rollout, but it just makes life a little bit easier. And we have less tears from the students, the parents, and the staff that way. It's really important to do that. September 2nd is no school because of Labor Day, and then September 20th is our pod drop. So a lot going on, and
Well done. Thank you. All right, I have a little bit to report on tonight. I did get to visit STEAM Camp and it was phenomenal. I have to tell you, I was so impressed with how it was run and the activities the kids were doing. So kudos to those staff members that ran it. They did a phenomenal job. I did want to say our Summer Academy program was in its 3rd year, and it was run with COVID money and some special ed grant money. So it was a well-oiled machine this year. About 80 kids on average, more had enrolled, but on average 80 kids attended and had breakfast, lunch. They came back to STEAM Camp in the afternoon, the ones that wanted to do that. Others went to other places. This year we were able to have a field trip day. Every Wednesday was a full day field trip day. And we had, Katie and I had applied for a wellness grant that was a 2-year grant 2 years ago, and we used those funds to provide those opportunities for the kids. So it was a wonderful opportunity. I think starting to get budget materials from the AOE and the VSA and the VSBA already to plan for this year, but I know we hope to continue this program, and it will not be grant funded fully next year. So putting in a plug for it early. Update on summer work. I know Brian did a shout out to all the staff, and it's well deserved. I checked in with Jim this morning just to see if there are any big projects at Weathersfield this summer. Regular cleaning, waxing, moving all the furniture around to clean the classrooms. There was an elevator issue, he said, that they had to fix this year. The elevator is working, but that was a repair they had to do over the summer. And they are currently working on a solution for the freezer that fails regularly. Not a solution yet, but just so you know, that is in the works. So those were the 2 biggies. Brian talked about hiring and onboarding. I'm just sharing that across the SU, we have hired and are currently onboarding 40 new staff. Weathersfield, 2 new teachers, and those were retirement and a resignation. So just a shout out to Weathersfield. The staff stay here, and that says a lot. So, and those 2 staff that were locally funded support staff members have been rehired under special education, and they are currently assigned to Weathersfield. And the interventionist instructional coach position that is advertised along with the halftime custodian position is all that we're looking for Weathersfield, which is great. We did have our administrative retreat 2 weeks ago. We pair it with the Vermont Principal Association Leadership Academy. So we spent an extra day and a half together, and we had, we worked hard. We were tired by the end. The principals were saying, Christine, do we really have to keep working this afternoon? And I said, yes, we do. But we did get a lot of work done. There were projects divvied up prior to summer beginning. So some staff, principals, and curriculum coordinators, special ed directors signed up to work on different projects together over the course of the summer. So we reviewed those. A lot of work went into the staff handbook, which went out last week to all staff. The family and student and caregiver handbook. That was a big project. And our behavior matrix, our minor and major behavior matrix, was a big undertaking. We really wanted to, and it's not a public document yet. We created it last year together. This year, we had a year of using that matrix, and we had some edits to make. And we added a lot of our philosophy around discipline at the beginning, which we have added to our family handbook. We haven't added everything in the matrix yet. We're still kind of testing it out, but that was a big project that went on this summer. We worked on our WIGs as an SU, building-based WIGs, looked at data, worked with our leader and me coach for part of a day. Principals set their own professional leadership goals. And we meet Friday for most of the day to finalize the work that we need to do to open schools, which is what we've been working on as well. So that is my report for this evening. I'm happy to take any questions. We did have some fun too at our retreat. We did. Made them play some team building games, and I told me that I cannot share those pictures, but they're quite funny.
And then she made us put on these sweatshirts. It was like 100.
I did. Just for
I
a
was
picture.
sweating through the sweatshirt. People were late. Pictures.
Yeah. They're good sports, and it's a great team, very supportive, very aligned in the work that we do, and so I call them the dream team. So, all right, so let me stop sharing my screen. That's not it. Oh, I did something wrong. Yep. Let me join the meeting again because I was recording that.
I think it's still there. in the middle.
It's not recording now.
Oh, good.
Oh, is it?
No, look. I don't know.
That's fine. Oh, you're still there.
Got it.
You must have it here.
I have it.
I joined in two places because I wanted to be able to see if people were trying to get into the meeting. And I couldn't see it on the screen, so that's why. But
So we didn't lose everybody?
Yeah, so we're still here. All right. All right, Anne Marie, back to you.
Okay, when do we want to work in, because I know Larry has,
Yeah, I was just gonna give you a little bit more update on some summer work too.
okay,
But I didn't have my regular report.
Okay.
Okay,
go back
so a
to
couple
you.
of other things, this was the summer things that I wanted to get done that hadn't been done yet. So one of the other things that got done was the stage got painted, so it's black, like it should be. Which is exciting, it makes it a little bit easier for, Meredith's excited because it'll make it easier for the upcoming play and any other musicals or events we do, which is really nice. So if you get a chance to look at it, do that. Christine did mention the freezer, so we're working on that. That might be more of a larger ticket item that we have to take care of. So because it has been continually failing for many years, like Christine said, so it has been something that's been ongoing. So it might be time to rip off the Band-Aid. But we'll look at that and get the experts with Jim in there. Also, they, what was the other thing I was gonna have? I said, talked about the signs, that was already done, the shed, the fence is up. That was our report on. There's something else I thought that I was like so excited about, that I didn't write it down.
Lights?
Oh, yes, all the lights around the school are working.
Oh.
They're all LEDs, and now they're on a timer that works and turns on and turns off.
It's bright.
And it is bright, it's like so
We've been here
amazing.
late and they work.
We were
Yes.
testing it for pod drop.
Yeah, so I
Stayed until.
was so excited when we came out, like we were coming back from someplace, And I told my wife and kids, I was like, okay, we gotta drive through the school. They're like, that's weird, Dad. My kids said that, I was like, no, look how bright it is. It's like really bright as you go through. Oh, and the other thing was, we got new wood chips. I always wanna say tan bark, that's what we call it in California, but they're wood chips here for the playground. And then we're actually putting the wood chips in the Gaga pit as well, because we did a little research, but when I said we, I mean Carrie did a little research, and found out that wood chips, because I was like, I think wood chips can go in there, and she was like, oh, let's see. And she looked and she found out that, yes, we can. So I think that'll make it more of a level playing field. And then make it so it's not a muddy mess as well during the winter months. So those kind of things. And then they put wood chips around the playground. And then we're also getting a sandbox that's coming in, because after PTO last year bought all the trucks again, because our sandbox was pretty horrible a few years ago, and it wasn't really sand, it was more like a cement box. And so we ripped it out, and so we figured out that the kids really like it, and this year we bought a cover for it too, so it doesn't become a giant something else. Because that happens to do when sand is in there. So then it'll be covered and taken care of, so we're excited about that as well. I think that's it, and then just the normal stuff.
Great.
Okay, I think
Okay. So Larry's got something to,
Yeah, the next item for discussion is the, I think, a late addition to the agenda. So, to bring everybody up to speed, a year ago, the auditors, it wasn't a finding, it's a step below a finding. If it keeps happening, it becomes a finding. And, the heads up was that two of our school districts, Weathersfield and Mount Scottney School District, were, spending money out of the activities fund for athletics. And the voters approved an athletics budget in the general fund. Also, separately, Weathersfield also was putting revenue into the athletics, part of the activities fund. So they said, you can't do that. You don't lose the money, you can keep spending it down. So for winter, it was simple, just spend down what you have until it's zero, and just don't do it again. And for Weathersfield, it's a little more complicated because you collect revenue for charging kids to do sports here at Weathersfield. So there's a few options you can do to not be in Dutch with the auditors. So you can't use the activities fund for things that already exist in the general fund budget. They're separate funds. So you can cut checks between the funds, but if it's already budgeted for, you should not spend money out of there that's already budgeted for. So for example, student activities would be like, if you're doing a student activity after school and you're buying some snacks for the kids, or you're doing a chess club that's not really academic and not really athletics, that would count. Now here, you really got three options, as far as I can tell. There might be more options, but the options that I've been talking with Brian and Carrie is, option one is, since you're already spending the money on athletics budget, we're talking really about revenue. Stop charging kids for sports, you could do that. That's option one. Option two would be, keep charging kids, but then put the revenue into the general fund, like all the other revenues you get. And, that would be option two. And then option three, Carrie brought up the idea of using the Booster Club to collect the revenue and register students. And you could do that. I don't know if you can require it, because I don't know if you can require a parent to give money to the Booster Club, or any person to give money to it's a separate, the Booster Club is unaudited. It has nothing to do with you as a board. It's a separate entity. It's like the PTO, which is great. And donating money to it is a really good idea. And, but I don't know if you can make somebody give money to an organization if they don't want to. So, but it could be labeled as a donation, maybe check box or something. I don't really know how that works with sports engine. So basically that's, Carrie can speak to it more as the athletic director, but from an auditor's perspective, that's where we are. Like I said, it's a little more complicated in the Weathersfield situation because you do collect revenue. At Windsor, 7th grade, 7 through 12, they don't charge for sports. So there's no money changing hands. They just they were spending out of the wrong fund, and we just stopped it.
I just add the other one question we had about if the choice is the Booster Club. The confidential information that's collected around kids.
Yeah, so I don't know if
Should
it's
just be
with Former Leaf.
here, yeah.
Former Leaf is what Windsor High School uses. They collect the physician's name, their last physical, birth date, their address, typical registration stuff, parents' names. You know, I think if the board would want to go the booster club route, I would think that the board, and I'm not an attorney, but I would think that the board would want some sort of agreement with the booster club that only the athletic director has access to that information and nobody else in the booster club can have access to that information. So that was, so the donation / requirement piece, but then also if they're registering for a sport, if it's, you know, first name, last name, and grade, that's still student information, you know? Even if it's as simple as that, but I'm assuming it's.
I think the piece, just for a more layman's approach, is we had always utilized the activities fund as this place where the registration money went. So if I wanted to hold, which we've done, you've heard me report on pitching clinics or whatever, I could have BJ write a check to the people running the clinic, give them the check the day of. And those are the sorts of things that going through central office becomes a purchase order. It all can be done and I will do whatever is decided on. But it doesn't feel like it's always as quick or as easy. You can't access things. Certainly if we're able to put something together in 2 weeks, I can't guarantee that I would have a check to pay for it. There are a lot of people who don't want to wait for a check. So that's where the discussion kind of came about, was once we weren't able, I was using, Christian Craig did a soccer clinic a full school year ago. And there was a registration fee for the clinic and he wanted it specifically to buy these certain kind of nets. So the money went into the activities fund, I ordered the nets and we paid for it that way. So yes, it all can be done either way. And certainly there's no one on the booster club that would have any of the information. It would be the athletic director. The software, no one on the booster club even has, except if they are a parent of an athlete. BJ and I are the only ones, and maybe Kylie, I'm not sure, who have access to sports in the inside of it. So that would stay confidential. The booster club would be promoting and supplementing all of our athletic needs. Hopefully scholarshiping more kids to do camps, even out of town, like, you know, field trips. We were able to do 2 that we didn't have to pay for to college basketball games last year. We were invited to participate in, one from Springfield, one from Windsor, but it would give us an opportunity. Both of those happened to be for girls basketball. I would have loved to have been able to offer something for the boys. So I just think from where I'm sitting, it feels like a win-win, that families are accustomed to paying. I understand what you're saying about it can't be required. And the bylaws of the booster club protect the athletics program and the control, ultimately, the school athletic director would be able to request what the money gets used for.
How much of the booster club funds are currently from these fees and how much, like, what's like the fundraising versus?
There's zero money that is from registrations in the booster club. So they would like to do some tournaments like for basketball and stuff, but there's.
But I guess I meant the activities fund.
I don't know where that's at. I ended up with consulting with Larry. I overspent the athletics general fund budget, knowing that there was the money in the activities fund. I don't know exactly dollar for dollar. I know that gets squared up. The check gets written. I don't know where that money is at now. that region would know.
But do we, what I'm asking is so the fees that people pay versus other kinds of fundraising that have been all going, I guess, into the activities fund at this point? Or
Yes.
was the Booster Club keeping some of the money separate?
There hasn't been a booster club.
Oh, okay. So it was all going into this activities fund.
Yes.
Yes, and I think we're going to the board for guidance.
Mhm.
All I can suggest is what the auditors would not like to see.
They don't.
So basically you have, with the option of the Booster Club, I think you have three options, which is, spend money out of the athletic general fund as the board has approved, every year. And if it's underfunded, then budget more for it. Option two would be to put the revenue right into the general fund as miscellaneous local revenue or donations. And then option three would be have the Booster Club collect all the revenue, and then they would cut a check to Weathersfield School District or buy other things that the athletic department would need out of their own checkbook, like a pitching clinic or whatever, and then we wouldn't have to pay for it. When I say we, I mean the Weathersfield School District.
So say we set a budget, we're giving athletics $4,000 for this school year. So what I'm concerned about is, do we still have that? Like, how do we, so even if you're saying it's still in the general, you would know what's been spent, what's left, what she has left to do?
Yeah, so
Okay.
like, without the budget right in front of me, I think the other questions, like what Anne-Marie, I think what Anne-Marie was asking was, how many total registration fees as a number?
No, not the number,
Like
no,
a year.
I just am wondering, if say we take the registration fees and that money goes into the general fund, 'cause that's the issue, right, of the
Yes.
registration fees?
It can't go in the activities fund.
It has,
The athletic general fund.
that would go in the athletic general fund. Would there be other other fundraising money? Could that go into the activities fund, or would that also have to go into the?
You could fundraise into the activities fund, right?
Uh-huh.
But once you start spending money on what would be considered athletics,
So even an extra athletics thing, like these clinics, counts as part of our budget, even though we haven't budgeted for a clinic?
yeah, a clinic is a gray area. The problem with the clinic is, you just got collected W-9, which I think is what the auditors, that's when it became an issue, because we didn't collect the W-9.
I don't know that.
Yeah, so so we have, they would audit the activities fund. And so, for example, any vendor we have to collect the W-9. If a W-9 was collected, it probably tipped off the auditors. Then they start looking, and then they look into the activities fund. And then they said, well, you're spending athletics money out of the activities fund where you have a budget over here that the voters approved. This isn't really student activities. With athletics, it is a gray area. The clinic is kind of a gray area. Paying coaches is not a gray area. Paying officials is not a gray area. Buying soccer balls is not a gray area. Pitching clinic is probably a gray area because it's an outside person and it would theoretically be open to everybody. Anybody can come to the pitching clinic and you don't have to pay registration fees or whatever. So that's kind of a gray area, but not for all the other stuff that athletics is doing. To kind of answer your question, if let's say, for example, there's a $5,000 supply line for athletics. All right. If you budget 5,000 and you spend 6,000, we report out to the board quarterly basis. You'd be aware of that. The voters would see it in the town report that it was over by $1,000. In revenue, you would see a revenue line where theoretically, if everything was sugared off perfectly, you'd have $1,000 of revenue, and a board member or myself would explain to a citizen who asked a question, how come you're $1,000 over? You'd say, well, there's $1,000 in fees we collected over here. So it's a wash. To the bottom line, it's a wash. So, for example, if you were to stop collecting the fees, you would just budget for what you need. But because you're bringing in revenue, you could overspend the line, but you have the money. It's all accounted for and audited in e-finance and it all can be brought up in a report.
So the biggest negative to you is the time lapse, like you're having to put out to the central office that you need a check cut for X, Y, Z, and just that lag time, is that the biggest negative?
Well, yes, because they won't cut a check until there's an invoice that it's been provided, so that's part of it. You can, as he said, there's different ways of doing it. Yes, it's very inconvenient to have had that ability to use the excess money in the activities fund. It's taken me a while to figure out how to get officials paid on a timely basis so that they're not waiting a month after they officiate a game to get a check. But also the athletics program at Weathersfield it far exceeds what is budgeted for. So for the registration fees is what allows us to actually run the program the way it's being run. Off the top of my head, it's somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000 that is registrations and fundraising like if I do t-shirts, you make money on the t-shirts, that all built up in the activities fund that allowed us to buy special bowls or whatever we needed. We give t-shirts to the kindergarten, first and second graders for their sports. So yeah, it's and it is, you have to be able to show to the taxpayers that when we're $10,000 over budget, that it's in the revenue side, but I would advocate for an increase in the athletics budget too, so.
And Carrie's 100% correct about the convenience. We have SU policies that the board has adopted with fiscal controls, some required by state law and GAAP and accounting practices, where the way it works is we get a quote, we do a PO, a requisition, then the requisition goes through the approval process, so Larry can't cut himself his own PO, right, and then approve it, right? It's gotta go from Carrie to Kylie builds it, Larry approves it, so there's a bunch of links in the chain to protect everybody here and to protect the taxpayer dollar, whereas it's not, and then we get the invoice and we pay the invoice and the check is cut. Whereas with the activities funds, all the activities funds, not just Weathersfield, at Windsor, Terry Hay cuts a check and signs it. At Weathersfield, BJ can cut a check and sign it like that, which is, it's not surprising. That's where the auditors go.
Right.
Right? They know they're not gonna find much in the general fund. They go to the activities funds and I'm not thinking of Weathersfield, I'm talking all the schools. It's the first place they look because there's a checkbook there and it is convenient.
We got dinged in Heartland too.
And Heartland's come up many times, so it's not a unique to Weathersfield. The only thing that's unique to Weathersfield is the revenue.
And I do want to just say, because we're K-8 athletics without a rec, typically K-6 in our other recs in Windsor and in Heartland, they pay a much higher registration fee to play sports. So we're much cheaper for that demographic, but because we're a school, it's unique.
So if you only had, like, say the registration fee went to the general fund, but the Booster Club was able to keep the other fundraising money, would you have enough money to pay for like a clinic or something like that out of the Booster Club money, or
Right, yeah, it would take a while for them to
build up
some money, but I would hope so. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, one thought is PTO kind of handing over the concessions at the sporting events to the Booster Club, because like the dance business, PTO would love to get out of concessions, although it is fun. So it would take a while. Yeah, I don't know.
But as a, Meredith, as a parent, I'm rolling now. The Booster Club would not be out to make money or fundraise to pay a rep.
Yeah,
So that goes back to Carrie's problem, like you've got a rep who shows up and uses check, you know, so that.
but I'm just thinking like the ref money, we should be able to plan well enough in advance, I would think.
That
We have like a,
I mean,
like a sub-account in revenue for athletics.
yeah, so I can talk to Dean, our controller, about having a special code for any checks that come in through the register. I assume sports it cuts a check or it's deposited, direct deposit. So, and then, we would just transfer that money over and put it into that revenue line. That wouldn't solve the convenience issue. That would solve the citizen issue, right? You want to be able to, as easily as possible, show that, oh my God, athletics is overspent by $4,000. And it's like, yeah, no, it did overspend the budget by $4,000, but we knew we had revenue in here. And we can show you on that comparative budget report, here's a revenue line. You have to account for that. So, but we do that all the time. Revenue and expenditures, and at the end, at the bottom line, they net out. Anything that doesn't net out in the general fund, every year would have to be sent to the capital reserve fund based on the voters, or back to the tax rate. It's got to zero out, unlike the activities fund.
So that was the point I was just gonna make. It also requires either spending it
Yes.
by June 30th, which right now but previously we didn't have to do. We could let that build up for what we need when we need it. I would now be looking at just zeroing it out June 30th. Again, it's not impossible to do, but I also don't want to just buy
Frivolous.
stuff to spend the money. I would rather be able to have it where we need it for something.
Or pay refs, go to like all that stuff.
Coaches is budgeted, refs are fairly well budgeted. It's not that I need a pat on the back, but I ended up paying a ref cash myself one night because it was like they couldn't show up, we didn't have a ref, rather than cancel the game, someone said I can come. I was like, fine, I'll just pay for it. But so there are times that happens. I wouldn't be able to do that all the time. It's not what I would want to do. But you also need to cover the games.
So I'm just thinking it might be easier if we have the registration go through the general fund, but then do other fundraising through the Booster Club. Just because we can't require a fee, from the Booster Club, and we're also asking those people paying the fee, we would have to make sure that they understood that it wasn't going to the school, that it was going to this separate entity that we don't really have, that the board here doesn't have control over. So I'm just thinking that parents might feel more comfortable if that money was going directly to the school fund than to some other outside fund.
Is
Just
that
my thought.
is
Anybody
that a
else have any
problem
thoughts?
if we waive for hardship?
We always do.
I can't speak, I assume.
We offer scholarships, there would be for.
Okay, I'm just saying if it's going into the general fund and you waive that, does that create some kind of paperwork problem?
I assume it's done through the registration process. Is there a button they check where,
No,
do they just register their kid and then not fill out the credit card information?
no, because it won't let you register without paying. They contact us.
They contact.
Yeah, they contact me.
So that would, as far as the auditors are concerned, they're not looking at registrations.
Yeah.
They see the money coming in, that's
Alright.
all, and they.
So it's
track the money.
documented and we're not swapping a problem from one spot to another?
No, they're not, they wouldn't even know
Okay,
who read it. They don't have any insight into sports.
great.
Does anyone else have any questions or feelings on the matter?
I'm curious about the ref stuff. Are we collecting W-9s on the refs?
We
So
have,
we're collecting W-9s, and how are they paid in general? Are they paid like weekly, monthly,
I
per
submit,
game?
I have to submit invoices for the games, which I do in advance of them providing the service, so that they get their check around the time that shortly after they've wrecked the games. But they go through the SU, they fill out the W-9, And then I just submit the invoices to central office and they cut the checks.
And every vendor, we're required to do a W-9.
I'm not looking to not have, like, follow the rules at all. I want to be sure that that's, like, they're all, I want to get people, I want to do it the right way. It's just, we have to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't continue using the activities fund for athletics. And like I said, again, I think I've said this a couple times now, Winter's in the same boat from expenditures. And so Jim had money in the activities fund. They got dinged, not a finding, but below a finding, and said, my instructions to Jim were just spend it down to zero, not frivolously, not within a month, but find things, uniforms, things like that that the kids need, spend that money down to zero. And if you need it, budget for it. That's what the budget process is for.
Okay.
So that would lead me into wanting to be involved in building the budget, and making sure that we could cover everything that we need.
Yeah. But you get together with that guy. All right, we need to vote on, or do we not, do we just need to?
need direction.
We just need direction.
I think we need guidance to move forward, so Carrie can collect.
Right now, registrations
I mean-
I'm doing manually.
Yeah, so, I mean, money goes into a general fund with a line that says the athletic registrations and fees, move the money over when you need it.
Yeah, use it when you need it.
But I have to use it.
Spend it directly
Yeah,
to
yeah.
your vendors out of that.
Yeah,
If you're
we
directed
can't
to.
spend out of revenue lines, it'd be spent out of the expenditure lines.
Right.
But I will work with Deanna to find the clearest way to the voter that there is a separate revenue line that is just for athletics registration. That's my goal. There's only a hand, in the local school districts, unlike the SU where there's 1,000 revenue lines because of the state regulations. The schools have very few you got basically the education spending grant, which is state money, and you have miscellaneous other local revenue, you have donations and contributions. That's very few revenue. I'll talk to them about creating a custom revenue line, and as long as we can get it out of the sports engine in such a way that it's marked somehow, I don't think that'd be a problem for Deanna.
Marked for what?
Meaning,
For the general fund.
if it goes in the general fund, as long as it's accounted for in such a way that when we reconcile the bank account,
They do a monthly direct deposit, like on the 15th.
and it comes from this only vendor, in sports engines, the only vendor, so I will, again, Deanna's back on Thursday, and that'll be one of the first things I talk to her about.
Okay.
But, yeah, spending, that would be the way to go.
And then the booster club will take care of the rest of the fundraising money that happens, like the t-shirt money and the concessions money and whatever else they are able to raise. And that can go into its own fund, and then that could be used for special things that you need money quick for.
I'd like to say too, activities fund, you could sell t-shirts, have the revenue go into the activities fund, and then spend out of that. It just can't be for things that you would normally, it would have to be for special student activities. If that makes any sense, like.
Yeah, well, I think
know
we
it
want to
sounds
keep
really
the money
complicated.
going to athletics, so I don't think that we would want to do it have it go to the athletics fund and then not be ready for athletics.
But I
right?
think you're saying things like uniforms should already be in our athletic budget,
Yes,
is what
yes,
she's getting at
exactly.
also. So, again, something we have to look at
Yeah.
this
Yep.
season that's coming faster than.
We got almost all new uniforms this last school year, all sponsored.
Yeah.
So it didn't come out of athletics money.
Mhm. Which is great.
It is great, but that's where it looks like we've overspent already, because I had to do the PO to have them pay State Line Sports, but then the money gets deposited because it was made out to Weathersfield Athletics, so, yeah. I just want to make sure that I do what you want.
I mean, as long as that's not too complicated for everybody, that's.
No, it seems like the only drawback I can see is the convenience that Carrie's pointing to it, and I can
Delay,
work with-
convenience delay.
Yeah, but if there's a game on Friday and, or a change to the schedule and a game gets added a week later and she's gotta go back to Kylie, it's not easy, you know, because we gotta go through the PO process. I can work with Deanna and Kylie and try to streamline it some other way for referees. If they're already in the system with a W-9, I can work on that.
The only other instance that I just want to point out is, tournaments are huge for athletics. And those tournaments require pre-registration with payment. And I can't get, so far, central office has not been able to do that because we need to have an invoice. So we missed out on a couple of tournaments because the checks didn't get cut in time. So that is something that hopefully once it's built up in the Booster Club,
Yeah.
they can take care of that because
Yeah, because even if we increase your budget, that's still gonna be money that you have to wait
right,
for.
it's still a process. And the process is there for a reason. I believe in the process. It's just not conducive to the way athletics in rural Vermont works.
So, there'd be a donation from the school board.
Yeah.
But one thing you could do, is we've had, the principals, before Brian, have had a request for credit cards for each school. And we've done that, we come up with a policy, it's cumbersome, but the convenience is there that you can swipe a card and use it. So any tournament fees that would allow a credit card, Brian has a credit card.
Could do that.
So I don't know, the Claremont Rec Center and TSB, if they take credit card payment, I assume they do, because
It
people must
only
pay.
ever says send the check payable to town of Claremont.
Yeah,
So
so
city of Claremont.
yeah, I mean, we got the credit card for situations exactly like that. So I will talk, again, just like the referees. If there's a way, the auditors are coming in early October to do our audit for 24. And it's one of the things I can bring up to them too is, we got this, there's a tournament, they want prepayment, the tournament hasn't happened yet. How do we can't cut a check until it's an invoice according to our policies. How can we do this and be kosher about it? And that's the question.
Okay.
I don't know why that's a big issue. I've been around schools that have had no issues doing that before,
Yeah,
like with tournaments, where they've cut checks for their athletic sports
maybe they were.
prior to, and they didn't really, invoicing wasn't huge about it.
Yeah, that's our
I mean-
policy, but it has to have an invoice in order to get paid.
It's from the auditor's perspective, how can we pay for something that hasn't been done yet? The pre-registration for a tournament's a separate issue, but we're talking about like, somebody's painting the stage. They haven't completed the work. We
No,
can't
I
cut
get
a
that
check.
part.
Yeah.
The pre-registration for tournaments that are out in the future. Usually most athletic venues that I've worked with, you have your schedule, you get in the beginning of the year, you have a schedule, and then the sport has specific tournaments they want to belong to. And this is what they've put aside for funds for those tournaments. And they've always paid ahead,
Mhm.
and it was never an issue. So I don't understand why you're not able to get into tournaments because they just haven't cut an invoice. Most tournaments don't have invoicing. They
Correct,
just
that's what I'm
registration.
saying, it's a gray, non-functional.
It's kind
problem.
of similar to professional development. We cut checks all the time for professional development before the teacher goes for professional development.
Right.
So it's the same process. So I can look into that. I mean, the sticking point seems to be the refs and
Yeah.
changes in the schedule.
Yeah.
And then, pre-registration for tournaments.
Okay.
And
Well,
also,
it's just like for professional
that's
development.
what I'll
Yeah.
talk to Deanna about. I'll go to Deanna and the auditors and say, well, we do it for PD, what's the difference?
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, and then the other item is to approve the PTO fundraisers for FY '25. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mark made the motion to approve the fundraisers for the PTO for FY '25. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Unanimous?
you. Here we go.
Have fun. Okay, do we have any need for an executive session?
Yes, I need to discuss the residency verification.
Okay, let's do setting the next agenda. I had a question for you, Larry. When is my first meeting gonna be with you and the others for the
Yeah.
SU
So
budget?
normally, it's September.
Uh-huh.
So it's usually, and I think everybody was good. Elizabeth, it was shaky because of the legislation session,
Mhm.
but she said it might get flaky around November, but
Yeah.
she's thinking, I think Fridays
Okay.
in the morning,
Mhm.
and it'll be in advance. And I usually send out the whole schedule, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior.
Yeah.
So it'll be mid to late September. But yes, good question. So I'm already.
Okay, so it won't be before our next meeting.
When's your next meeting?
September 10th.
No, I doubt we will. I can look at last year's schedule.
So September 10th, our next meeting is September 10th at 6:30. That's our usual time.
I've got update on the start of school,
Update on the start of
Yeah.
school.
under the administrative report. I've got, BAC, just a conversation about the.
Yeah, we should talk about getting the getting volunteers for the BAC together.
Yep. And I've got leadership work and focus areas for the upcoming year.
Okay. Anything else? That you can.
Will we have an update, like just with curriculum and so how that's rolling out for the teachers at the start of the year? Or are we gonna wait till we get rolling?
We were gonna wait a bit. I think Brian was going to ask his, instructional coaches and, interventionists to report regularly next year on curriculum. But on the work plan,
So we should have start data by our.
well, we've got student growth report in October, report out on the principal copies that he's gonna do. We had the first curriculum implementation update on November 12th.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I guess one other thing regarding the budget that I thought that maybe we should have a discussion on is, so Brandon, the town manager, offered to help us sort of evaluate the SU budget, before the three of us on the SU board give our okay. Was that something that you, like, if we could talk about, if that's something that we want to accept his help or not at our next meeting? So we can put that on the,
So last year, I sent the email to the budget committee on September 1st, and our first meeting was the 15th. So
okay, so it'll be right
it's
after,
about, what I said, mid to late September.
yeah.
Get going.
And that agenda item you just said, Anne Marie, is next month, a decision on whether you want
To ask for Brandon's help with the budget, I don't know.
figure out a way to word that.
Yeah, with budget, I don't know.
Budget consultation.
Actually, as
Yeah.
budget
Yeah.
discussion.
And the way it works is, and I think we explained this to Brandon last year, and it was new to him. So the SU board, now the SU board, SU budget committee may decide to completely change it. So I'll wait for the first meeting. But the way it's worked is, we meet regularly, we work on it, we get the bare bones, and then it's public on the website in like October. And then we consistently revise it as we get closer to the board budget votes. So it's all public, the meetings aren't public, but the actual budget document, the spreadsheet is public.
I think the minutes need to be public though, for those meetings
We're
as
gonna keep
well.
minutes.
Huh?
We're gonna keep minutes.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
there weren't minutes last year.
So we're not minutes.
Yeah.
That's one of our goals.
Yeah.
Be more transparent with the budget process.
That's a
Okay,
Okay, so that, I'll add that.
yeah, you word that fancy
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to go into executive session if nobody has anything else. Right?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Vincent made the motion to go into executive session, and we'll get back to you with the times we're coming out, and, thank you for coming today, Becky, it was good to see you.
Thank you.
I haven't seen you in forever, I don't.
I didn't mean Brian.
I'm
We're
sorry,
talking about
we
meeting.
vote, I can stop.
Huh?
We're talking
Yeah.
about meeting.
Yeah. Well, it's good to meet you. I do in the office.
I appreciate you.
I don't mind